So today we're going to talk about turning a percent into a decimal and a decimal into a percent. And it's a very similar process. It's just backwards from one another. So we'll start with taking a decimal and turning it into a percent. And all you have to do is move the decimal point. And you're going to move it 2 times either way. But when you're going from a decimal to a percent, you're going to be moving it 2 times to the right. So we'll do a few examples of what this would look like. So let's say I have 0.35 or 35 hundredths. I take that decimal point, I move it 2 times to the right, which would just give me the whole number 35. So that would be 35%. If I had 0.6, some people only want to move the decimal point 1 time, but remember we have to move it 2 times, even if there's only one number. So I would still move it another time. And anytime we have a blank like that, we have to fill in a 0. So that means that would be 60%. And then we could also have 0.555 or 555 thousandths. Some people want to move this 3 times to make it go to the end. But again, it's always 2 times, even if there are 3 numbers. So that ends up being 55.5%. So it's pretty easy. The reason we're doing 2 times is because 2 times to the right is actually multiplying it by 100. And remember that percent is always out of 100. So now let's look at going the opposite direction. So this is if they give you a percent and you need to turn it into a decimal. So this time we're going to do the same thing. We're going to move that decimal point 2 times. But instead of going to the right, you're going to go to the left this time. And going to the left 2 times divides by 100. So some examples of that, we could use 36%. So there's actually no decimal there, but remember, no decimal in sight, put it on the right. So the decimal point is actually right there, and you're going to move it 2 times to the left. So you end up with 0.36 or 36 hundredths, which makes sense because 36% is out of 100, so 36 hundredths. Another example would be 9%. Some people like to just move that decimal point 1 time and say it's 0.9, but remember, it has to be 2 times. And again, if we have a blank space, we're going to put in a 0 there. So that would actually be 9 out of 100, 9 hundredths. And then one more example, if we have 12.5%, our decimal starts here and it goes over 2 times. So I get 125 thousandths. Okay, so it's either going to the right or to the left, depending on if you're starting with a decimal or a percent. So percent to decimal goes to the left, decimal to percent goes to the right, always 2 times.